Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Lemon Live at 5, the Don Lemon Show. So happy that you could be here. Come on in. Everybody come on in. I hope that you're doing well because it is I hate to be this way, but it's a dark day in America. It is a dark day in America, especially for marginalized people in this country. The President of the United States has signed a transgender ban. Trump's new ban on trans athletes, his latest attack on transgender policies. We'll explain. Also, the Trump administration is moving forward with its plans to send immigrants that they have rounded up to Guantanamo Bay. Trump administration plans to use the notorious Guantanamo detention facility and nearby tents to hold immigrants. Also, I told you it was a dark day. A second federal judge, this is some good news, but what they're trying to do is not, because they're going to keep at it. A second federal judge rejects Trump's attempts to curb birthright citizenship. We'll call that a win, and a win for the Constitution, and a win for democracy. And then we have, no surprise, if you want to call it nepotism or nepo baby or whatever it is you want to call it, in collusion, cahoots, Fox News hires the president's daughter-in-law, Lara Trump, for a weekend show on the network. And that means next, she too can probably be the defense secretary. So let me explain what's going on. I'll start with the first thing that we talked about, a dark day for marginalized people in this country. It's a dark day for Muslims and those with Palestinian relatives. It's a dark day for Black folks, for Black Americans in this country. It is a very dark day for transgender Americans. At a ceremony this afternoon, President Donald Trump signed an executive order prohibiting transgender women and girls from competing in female sports. And this goes beyond the elementary, secondary school level, high school, goes beyond that. Just in sports, what does that mean for the Olympics that are coming here in 2026? We don't know. We'll see. First, the administration will roll back the Biden's administration guidance on Title IX, a civil rights law that prevents sex-based discrimination in education programs and activities that receive federal funding. Under the guidance, schools were required to allow trans students to access school sports teams and sex-segregated facilities that align with their gender identities. His orders will instead bar students assigned male at birth from participating in girls' and women's sports and using women's restrooms. The education department will be asked with investigating potential violations, and the administration, quote, will be asking for investigations, the officials said. Remember, this is the one issue that Donald Trump won the election on, and they believe it was the most successful ad possibly in political history. Second, officials said that the administration will work with sports governing bodies, including the International Olympic Committee, to ensure the guidance is followed in non-educational settings. The guidance, they added, will affect U.S. visa policies. If you are coming into this country and you are claiming that you are a woman, but you are a male here to compete against women, we're going to be reviewing that for fraud, one of the officials said. So as I said, a very dark day for any member of a marginalized community. Derrick Johnson is here. He is the president and CEO of the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People. And Derrick, good evening to you. Welcome. The NAACP is not just about Black people. It's about all people who are parts of underserved communities. First of all, I want to get your reaction to this transgender ban.
Well, this administration has weaponized identity in a way in which they have been able to distract and distort how they are subverting and undermining democracy. And unfortunately, as we see the stripping away of rights from individuals, we have someone else who's not a born naturalized U.S. citizen sitting in the Department of Treasury with a bunch of young kids, or sitting in the Department of Education with a bunch of young kids, stealing the data of all of us. And so they distract us with the identity politics. They distort the message of what's taking place around our democracy as they steal the very essence of who we are as a nation. And unfortunately, the guardrails, I'm afraid, are not strong enough to prevent what's happening right in front of our eyes.
Wow. I hate to be so down on that, but you're exactly right. And we're going to get to what happened with DOJ, this department, right? That people who are non-elected people who are really have control of some of the most important parts of our government. I want to show you this, though, because I want to talk about hate. The thumbnail says, so hateful. Why so hateful? Nancy Mace really loses her mind, Mr. Johnson, at an oversight hearing talking about transgender people. You have to see it to believe it. It's a little bit long, but I want you to watch it. Here it is.
The gentlelady has used a phrase that is considered a slur in the LGBTQ community and the transgender community. And let me please finish without interruption. And
tranny. I don't really care. You want penises in women's bathrooms, and I'm not going to have it.
Okay.
No, thank you.
Let
It's
Chairman,
disgusting.
Derrick, I thought it was longer than that. Derrick, what do you think of that?
Well, it's unfortunate. It's no, we can't call it dog whistle anymore. She is feeding the public square with hate speech in a way in which it fills her campaign coffers. It distracts the conversation away from the substance of what needs to take place. It otherizes individuals and demonizes them in ways in which we should not tolerate. It divides this country because it's such an effective tool. To otherize human beings have always been an effective tool in the political space. And what we have seen over the last several years is the perfecting of the art and using social media platforms to accelerate, like a super spreader, messages of hate, feeding on fears from individuals who may or may not be her constituency base. But I wonder what it would look like if someone took a look at her campaign coffers before that moment and the day after that. I bet you people donated because it feeds a sense of fear. It's fear mongering like we have not seen since the segregation.
I got to ask you, because there are people who take offense to certain words of all different backgrounds. There are even white people who take offense to being called certain things. And if a member of the trans community, you may not think it's, you may think it's okay, but especially if you're an elected official, and there are members of the trans community who they look at that as an epithet and they think it is derogatory. It's a pejorative. Why then use it? Because if someone would say, talking about black people, would she use the N-word? Would she use the K word?
In this environment, she would.
Would she use the K word when it comes to Jewish people? Would she use, because she's using the T word that transgender people find offensive?
Yeah. And, it is unfortunate because they're playing to the lowest common denominator of human nature. They're trying to incite an emotional response. And that emotional response that benefits them is people aligning with them out of their fears and say, hey, that's why we're with you. We're going to support you. We're going to write you another check. And on the other side of the emotional response is a response of being highly offended, hurt, marginalized, otherized. And in this nation, we are the most diverse we've ever been. But because we are so diverse, that's what the true fear is. Because this assumption of white supremacy, white privilege, is kind of eroding in some people's eyes. Therefore, we must attack the boogeyman. And the boogeyman has evolved over time. Is black people today, is women tomorrow, is the trans community. After that is the LGBTQI, you name it. Somebody has to be the boogeyman when you play to the lowest common denominator nature of human nature.
This is the President of the United States at the ceremony signing the executive order to ban transgender athletes.
And for the same reason, just to make sure,
I'm also directing our Secretary of Homeland Security, Kristi Noem, who's also doing she's out there with you, Greg, a fantastic job. She's unbelievable. I was watching her riding yesterday on a horse. She was as good as anybody. She's very good. To deny any and all visa applications made by men attempting to fraudulently enter the United States while identifying themselves as women athletes, try and get into the games maybe where they are unable to get into the games.
I don't know why why are they so stuck on this? And here is Donald Trump at a trans ceremony telling Rubio to go after the Olympics.
But Marco is going to make clear to the International Olympic Committees there, and he's going to make it as clear as anybody can make it, that America categorically rejects transgender lunacy. We want them to change everything having to do with the Olympics and having to do with this absolutely ridiculous subject that we even have to talk about this subject. If you went back 10 years or 15 years and you would move forward and listen to this, you'd say, what the hell are they talking about? This is impossible. But you have people out there, Democrats, that are still totally in favor. They can't win the argument. They can't win a debate. They look like fools, and they continue to go on. And it's okay, because as long as they do this and open borders and all of the other things they talk about, transgender everything, all they want to do is transgender.
Oh my God.
And men playing in women's sports and all of these crazy things. And if they continue, I think we're going to end up ultimately, it's not going to matter because we're never going to go along with them, and we're just going to keep winning elections, right, Mike?
So it is something, and then it goes on and on. There's him. I have him at a trans ceremony lauding Nancy Mace. I have him at a trans ceremony or today telling folks to ban visas for trans athletes. What is this issue? Why is this issue so important? Is it just because it's a winning issue? Do they actually really care that much? And the thing is that, is this really that big a deal, considering just how minuscule the trans population is in this country, and then how small the number of trans athletes are in competing in sports?
Well, they need a villain. And so when they were able to limit the right of women to choose, Black community, we've always been the villain. They needed a new villain, and the trans community is a convenient villain for them to pick on. But I've always said individuals who are so unwilling to respect people for their human dignity, they oftentimes have something else to hide. Because bullies only pick on people because they have something to hide. But that's the villain today, and we have to not lose focus of the broader conversation of what's taking place. And that broader conversation what's taking place is the complete subverting of democracy, the stealing of information, data, the creating an atmosphere that has now is truly a chilling effect to roll back progress that has been made over the last several decades. That's what's at stake here. But to get to those core things, you need a villain. And so it's the trans community tomorrow. It could be women the next day. You name the community, as long as they have a villain to distract individuals or distort a message so they can get to the place of creating a society where they maintain power, domination, and control. And that's what we are confronted with.
Derrick, before I get to that, when you're talking about the information, right, that's out there to people who are not even elected officials, I want to talk to you about this. I've been wanting to get you on, and you've been so busy, and so have I. I've been traveling. But you saw after that plane collision in Washington, D.C., Donald Trump took to I'm not exactly sure, maybe is that the White House in the briefing room to demonize people of color and women by saying that this collision was the fault of DEI with no evidence. There were still bodies in the water. Here's what he said, and I want to get your response because I know that you wanted to come on to talk about it. Here it is.
Because they put a big push to put diversity into the FAA's program. Then another article, the Federal Aviation Administration, this was before I got to office recently, second term. The FAA is actively recruiting workers who suffer severe intellectual disabilities, psychiatric problems, and other mental and physical conditions under a diversity and inclusion hiring initiative spelled out on the agency's website. Can you imagine? These are people that are, I mean, actually, their lives are shortened because of the stress that they have. Brilliant people have to be in those positions, and their lives are actually shortened, very substantially shortened, because of the stress, where you have many, many planes coming into one target.
And Pete Hegseth saying that he got rid of diversity, equity, and inclusion at the department, the Defense Department, and saying, and J.D. Vance saying that people were coming in and they were being denied jobs because of the color of their skin, meaning white people. What's going on, Derrick?
It is the strategy. It's rinse and repeat, right? You have a tragedy.
But how did you feel when you heard that? Because I know you watched it.
Quite frankly, there was some more bullshit. That's what I thought. It's the same strategy. People are mourning the tragedy. You distract folks from the tragedy to go back to your talking points about other rising communities, race or gender, and then you distort what actually happened and try to blame it on a group of individuals, when in fact, the week before, you got rid of the head of the FAA, you got rid of head of the Coast Guard, you got rid of an oversight committee. You don't address the systemic shortage of air traffic controllers. You don't focus in on long-term solutions because you are ill-equipped to do so or don't care. So you distort the message and distract people to talk about something that has nothing to do with finding those who was in the crash, to see if there were any survivors, have nothing to do with consoling the families, have nothing to do around understanding what caused the crash, so you can fix it for future flights or future tragedies. You distract, you distort, rinse and repeat. At every example you bring up is going to be the same strategy. Distract American people, distort what happens so you can get back on message as you steal our democracy.
Derrick, there are a lot of people out there and people who have been watching. They've been asking me what to do. They are quite frankly concerned about the leaders, Democratic leaders, leaders who are not going on with this MAGA stuff. What are they doing? Are Democrats standing up? Are they being strong enough? What about leaders like you? What are you doing? What can you tell the audience?
Well, unfortunately, elections have consequences, and we gave them a trifecta. So what we needed to do was in November. We're past that point now. So many of us, we're filing lawsuits, we're gathering information, we're responding and reacting real time. We've never seen this level of siege upon our democracy. There's a book that was written in 2007 by Naomi Klein called Shock Doctrine. This is the implementation of the shock doctrine. You throw so many things on the board that you try to exhaust the opposition as you slowly change the narrative and you change how people begin to expect government to function. As you privatize every component of it possible, the laying off of people, telling people don't come back to work, locking doors, all of those things is a part of the shock doctrine, so you can distract people, distort the message, and steal our democracy.
This is a reporting that I wanted to talk to you about because you mentioned it a couple of times. If we can put up the Wired reporting about what happened, what's happening in Washington, in certain departments. Federal workers sue to disconnect Doge server. 2 federal workers citing reports that Elon Musk's associates are operating an illegally connected email server at OPM, seeking a restraining order. And then there is this that I had been told, this is from Reddit, and there's also reporting on it as well. We had folks on who worked in those departments yesterday saying, I am currently an employee at the Office of Personnel Management, OPM. This is a throwaway account for obvious reasons. I am posting this because people need to know what is going on at OPM, Derrick. They say, I've been an OPM employee for nearly a decade and federal employee for almost 20 years. I've never witnessed anything even remotely close to what's happening right now. In short, there's a hostile takeover of the federal civil service. Derrick, this is a break the glass moment.
Yes, I mean this is what we're confronted with. You would deal with trans issues or race or gender and identity politics. What's happening is they're stealing our democracy.
Right. Behind your back.
They're taking the data. Data is golden. You have individuals with zero security clearance. One individual wasn't even a U.S. citizen. They are teenagers, essentially 20-year-olds, that under direction of Elon Musk, and they're going into these agencies, OPM, Treasury, Department of Education, and they're plugging in their servers and they're taking the data. Your social security number. Did you apply for a student loan? Was your loan forgiven? All of your data, they're harvesting that data into these mega systems. What are they going to do with that? It is stealing the essence of who we are as Americans.
Derrick, how is this legal then? Why hasn't someone stopped this? Why? I mean, are they filing lawsuits for this?
Lawsuits have been filed. There have been temporary restraining orders, but the process of justice in this case is slow. How many days have we here? This is day 16. This is not like stuff. This is shock doctrine. You do a whole bunch of stuff at the exact same time. We get distracted dealing with race or gender or sexual orientation as they steal data. And so that's why I keep bringing the conversation right back there. They're stealing the essence of who we are as Americans. They're stealing our democracy, and they're stealing individuals' identity.
Is this the most important issue right now, you think? Is this issue? Because
I think more important at all.
I wanted to ask you something, Derrick, because if you saw the thing that happened last night at the White House with Benjamin Netanyahu, and he wants to, annex or take Gaza and flatten it, and then move all the people out, and then make it sort of an enterprise or an opportunity zone. By the time that won't happen, by the time he leaves office, I don't believe. And I think that although it's an important issue, that is also a distraction, I believe, from the things that you are mentioning that affect us right now and are much more, I think, much more important in the moment.
Well, you have the Middle East conflict. You have, we're going to put tariffs on Canada. When did Canada become such an enemy? We're going to put tariffs on Mexico. Oh, but the tariffs on Canada, Mexico are going to be more than the tariffs on China. I thought China was the enemy that he talked about. Oh, we're going to send prisoners to El Salvador. Oh, and some of those prisoners, they're going to be immigrants, but some may be U.S. citizens, they said. Oh, we're going to send back all the Venezuelans because I don't like that country. It is all the things. It's both domestic, it's international. We have lost control of our government.
I don't know what we do. But Derrick, keep us updated and let us know what you're doing. You have a plan. I hope you guys are filing lawsuits. And are you in contact with our lawmakers in Washington?
We are in contact with lawmakers. We're filing lawsuits. But at the end of the day, justice have to move faster. The guardrails we thought were in place, I am concerned they may not be in place. And we could have just witnessed our last federal elections in 2024.
The last federal election in 2024. Do you think Donald Trump is going to try to run again?
We shall see. Everything is on the table now. All the things we would have thought would have never happened is happening. So we can't predict the future now. We just have to fight for maintaining some level of guardrails so we can get back to normal, whatever normal is these days.
Yeah. Derrick Johnson is the president and CEO of the NAACP, and he joins us. We appreciate you joining us. We know that you're very busy. Thank you, Derrick. Please be in touch and come back. Thank you so much. Thank you. All right. So that is Derrick Johnson, and he's right. And I'm right. I've been telling you, this is a break the glass moment. So here we are, just us now talking. Let's talk about this shit, okay? These people are crazy. These people are fucking crazy. And they're not going to be stopped. And anybody who thinks that they are going to operate within the bounds of the Constitution, the bounds of the law, you're out of your mind. You are sadly mistaken. You are naive. Look at what is happening. Even the stuff that they are pushing out to distract you, it's also very important stuff. A lot of it can't get done. Look at what we said. When I said they're putting out all of these executive orders, and you're going to find this very same thing with a lot of the executive orders that they are signing. That once they meet a judge, they'll say, you can't do this. So I told you it is a distraction. A lot of these things are distractions. Pay attention. to the things that are important in front of you because they're trying to dismantle the democracy. They're trying to undermine our institutions, and they're doing it right in our faces by throwing BS and letting you guys fight over it. The trans issue, Donald Trump doesn't care about trans issue. He could care less about a trans issue. I doubt that they really care about it. And they know it's not that big a deal, but they know it resonates with the American people. And they have turned it into this very big deal that it's not. Do you know that the transgender population barely registers on the US population, and the trans athletes, the trans people who are competing in sports at any level, is minuscule. Now, I can understand that you would feel a certain kind of way if your child is in sports. I get it. Trust me, I get that part. But there are ways that you can discuss this. There are compromises and solutions that you can come to without going from 0 to 100 in 14 days. And Nancy Mace, you are fucking disgusting. You will do anything for attention. Anything for attention. I don't know how you sleep at night. I don't know how you look at yourself in the mirror. I can only imagine. I don't know is there any child, anyone in your family that you have any compassion for? Why on earth would you call someone that word? You may think it's okay. But what if someone called you the word and they said, well, I don't find it offensive? There are all kinds of words that people call women that I would never dare use, that I don't think it's okay to use. So then why can't you just respect your fellow human beings? Disgusting, not worthy to hold political office. And what happened to you? When you first were elected to office, people said, oh, well, she is conservative, but she is a moderate. She is sensible. And then all of a sudden, maybe you realize there was power. Maybe you realize that the MAGA movement wanted people to be outlandish, and maybe you're competing with Marjorie Taylor Greene, or maybe you're competing with Lauren Boebert. Maybe you're competing for the president's attention. I don't know what you're doing. It's actually, I feel there are a number of people who are like you, whether it be in this whole streaming thing that we do, that have other channels, that all they do is talk bad about other people, even about other women, and pretend that they are a proponent standing up for women, standing up for people. You're not standing up for people. You're standing up for yourself and embarrassing yourself in the process. Mace is showboating for the felon, says Ms. Lady, and I think that you're absolutely right about that. They are stealing your democracy right in front of your faces. And I'm going to say it again. I wish I'd asked Derrick Johnson. I forgot. I was remiss in my duties as a journalist to ask Derrick Johnson if he thinks that it is time now, in the great tradition of the NAACP, in the great tradition of Black people who fought for civil rights for all people in this country, is it time to go to the streets? Is it time to take to the streets? Is it time to protest? Is it time to boycott? Is it time to get in their faces? I don't mean violence. So don't be equating it like you did with Maxine Waters, saying when you get in your face. I mean, get in their faces, meaning annoy them, not harass them physically or invade their spaces, but protest. It's your right under the Constitution. Is it time to take to the streets? Because this is only day 14. Now, let me tell you how blatantly disingenuous they're being, and perhaps not even disingenuous. Maybe they're just that dumb, because they love to call people dumb. Maybe they're just doing it on purpose, just lying to you on purpose. Maybe they think it's a show. I do know. Well, I shouldn't say maybe. Yes, they think it's a show. Let me just tell you how blatant it is, okay? And I want to read all of this for you because this is the same thing as the condom story. The condom story that became $100 million, and they're giving Hamas condoms. It's in the USAID budget, and we're going to strip them of that. And they read something, someone who has no idea what the government is, someone who has no idea what they're doing, read something that said they were giving condoms to people in Gaza. They thought it was the people in Gaza, Palestinian people. It turns out it's Mozambique. And it's not $100 million. It's more like $10 million, if that. And they were doing it, what? To fight sexually spreading diseases in other countries. Just like PEPFAR. And people are concerned that they're going to kill PEPFAR, which helps millions and millions of people. It helped to stamp out AIDS into many parts of undeveloped countries and nations who are in need. And so they thought, oh, look, Gaza. Somehow $10 million, if that number is even accurate, became $30 million one day. Then it became $50 million, and it became $100 million. And then it became from Gaza to Hamas. So they want to know, hey, how do we market this? How do we sell this to the press? How do we get it out there? They're giving $100 million because someone hasn't read or can't read and don't know what they're doing. So here's a similar story that I want to tell you about, and I want you to sit and listen. Here's a story that you need to hear. And you need to hear this story while you're doing it. Make sure you hit the thumbs up. Make sure you hit the like. Make sure you subscribe to our channel and our content and follow us because it's very important for independent media. I cannot keep stressing that because they have the mainstream media. They're controlling those guys. And he doesn't even have to do it. The folks around them are doing it. It's very important that you support us. So thank you for your support of independent media. Make sure you hit that thumbs up. Make sure you hit the hearts if you are watching us on TikTok. And if you're following us on Facebook or Instagram or whatever it is, follow our content. Subscribe. Now sit right back and you'll hear a tale of some bullshit misinformation that they're spreading yet again in the United States. Coming from the MAGA Trump people. And Nappy Chow, you're right. Welcome new members. Here we go. The White House press secretary just blatantly lied to the American people. She is saying that Politico was been funneled cash by the USAID. Politico is not being funneled cash by the AID. Again, either they're lying in your face, playing in your face, or they're dumb. Let me break it down for you. Politico has a very expensive pro subscription that is an entire platform for tracking legislation, for tracking votes, for tracking lawsuits, for reporting and elite legislative analysis. Okay? It has a very expensive pro subscription. Let me repeat that. That is an entire platform for tracking legislation, votes, lawsuits, reporting, and elite legislative analysis. The subscriptions cost north of $10. Private sector CEOs and lobbyists pay for them, as do government workers. They are amazing tools for keeping an eye on the government. Don't be distracted. Thank you, members. Someone said, don't be distracted in the chat. Politico sells these premium programs to agencies, government agencies like the private sector. They want to work on the best information available. So anyone who's in government agencies, anyone who's in the private sector, you can buy these premium programs if you want to work on the best information available. Okay? This isn't some massive corrupt scheme. Politico does invaluable reporting in these trade publications. So people pay for it. Just like the people who are in the media industry. If you're in the media industry, then you are going to subscribe to Oliver Darcy's newsletter, Status. You're going to subscribe to Puck. You're probably going to subscribe to the Daily Beast, perhaps Variety, perhaps the Hollywood Reporter, which is not cheap. Professionals pay so that they know what's going on in their industries. This is no different. So what's more, these funds include payments during the first Trump administration, the first Trump administration as well. Okay? So he's blaming and they're saying, oh my gosh, this is waste, whatever. They're lying about all of this, about USAID. The payments include funds. What's more, these funds include payments during the first Trump administration, and the actual money from USAID to Politico was entirely for subscriptions and totaled $44,000. That's not even in the same universe as the $8 million that they are claiming. Do you know how many agencies we have in our government? How many different people we have in our government? And if they're charging this, okay, total $44,000. That may seem like a lot to you. But that in a company-wide, at a big institution, at a big organization, that's not out of the ordinary. Let's just say, when I worked at the CNN, every single person who needed information would subscribe to things, and then you could run it through the company because you needed to have that information. You couldn't say the Washington Post is reporting something, and then you go, oh, I don't have a subscription to the Washington Post. Your boss would say, well, get a subscription to the Washington Post and put it on your corporate card. You need that. That is a tool of the trade. So this is a tool of the trade. $44,000. And now the press secretary is lying, saying that Politico is being funnel cashed by USAID and it's $8 million. This is some bullshit. And you guys need to call her on it as well, because she's giving information to the press who is spreading it to the world. So either Ms. Levitt is not smart or she is a dishonest hack. I want you to recall how this week she also pushed the bullshit that Biden sent condoms to Hamas, like I said, Gaza, Mozambique versus the Gaza Strip. And this is where we are in America today. Gaza, Mozambique versus the Gaza Strip. $44,000 versus $8 million. They will do anything to mislead you and to take your eye off of the prize. Here's a press secretary telling these lies in person. Here it is.
Coming out here to the briefing room, I was made aware of the funding from USAID to media outlets, including Politico, who I know has a seat in this room. And I can confirm that the more than $8 million taxpayer dollars that have gone to essentially subsidizing subscriptions to Politico on the American taxpayers' dime will no longer be happening. The DOJ team is working on canceling those payments now. Again, this is a whole of government effort to ensure that we are going line by line when it comes to the federal government's books. And this president and his team are making decisions across the board on, do these receipts serve the interests of the American people? Is this a good use of the American taxpayers' money? If it is not, that funding will no longer be sent abroad, and American taxpayers will see significant savings because of that effort. Thank you.
How many times has this young lady lied to you in the 14 days, or either came out with some misinformation or with a prop saying, I don't have this? How many times? Nola Capri says, mind you, she's only 27. Okay, she's young. She doesn't have the experience. She doesn't have the wisdom that an older person would have. But look, 27 years old, lots of young people work in the government. That's a big job. But if you're going to be in that job, and you're going to be 27 or you're going to be 77, then you should have your facts straight. And you should not be lying to the American people. You should also remember that you work for the American people. The American people don't work for you. You work for the people sitting in that room who are protected by the First Amendment of the Constitution, the press, freedom of the press. They don't work for you. So that snarky attitude that when she goes out like, I'm going to go, and then you cut them off and you don't let people follow up. Why do they let that happen? Where is a disruptor that will say, excuse me, ma'am, excuse me, I have a follow-up. Excuse me, but the information you just gave is wrong. There is no $8 million being given to Politico. Where did you get that information from? I would like to see the source of that information. Where are the people who are speaking loudly? Because I can keep talking over you as long as you keep talking. And you have to answer my question. And everyone in that room needs to be in lockstep. If she doesn't answer the person, I've said this the last time that they were in office. If she doesn't answer the person's question that came before you and she moves on to you, then you either ask the same question as that reporter or you say, oh, I'll give my time to Jim. Oh, I'll give my time to Emily. Or I will ask that same question that she's asking. Remember, you work for them. They work for the American people. They don't work for you. They're your bosses. So show some respect, young lady, please. Show some respect, young lady, please. How do you guys feel about that? How do you like being lied to? How do you like someone coming out? And I was just told that there were $8 million. I'd be like, damn, what kind of subscriptions are $8 million? I'm definitely not charging enough for my channel. If Politico has $8 million, I know Politico has been around for a long time and they do investigative political journalism, but damn, can I get $1 million of that? I'm just saying. Candace, you're right. Everyone is scared and everyone has a right to be scared. She was picked from the Heritage Foundation, says amazingly. Where's amazingly? Says amazingly 08. Yeah, this is all Project 2025 shit. Remember, they had nothing to do with Project 2025. Nothing to do with Project 2025. And so there you get someone who appears to be lacking in knowledge of truth and facts and of the system. Monica, you should become a member, but I agree with you. When you say, I miss OG journalists, I do too. I miss OG journalists. I miss people that would stand up to power. That's what we should be doing, holding them accountable. And don't look, I've been asking, what are Democrats doing? I've been hitting Democrats, but also we need to hit the media. And Democrats should start calling out the media. And you know what Democrats should do? They should start calling out the companies who own those media companies, the people who are in those C-suites, the news managers, and they need to start exposing them to the American people. And so there are all kinds of things that you can do. You want me to? I can tell you how to do it. If you guys want to call me up, I can tell you how to do it. I can tell you how to do it. And if they're settling with someone, there's some business elsewhere that they don't want disrupted. Where's the lie? Am I lying? Anyone? 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 Bueller, am I lying? Like and subscribe. Like and subscribe. Become a member. It's in the top of the chat. The poll says, have you subscribed and have you hit the thumbs up button? I hope that you have. Let me tell you another little story. Another little story about a man named Travis, a not so poor football player. I'm trying to find something to match with Taylor Swift, but I can't. I'm just a little tired today. So you guys know who Travis Kelce is, right? You know who Travis Kelce is. Wait a minute. I may have some breaking news coming in. My source. Okay. If you guys have something, if you can get a shot of the Senate, I want you to get a shot of the Senate right now. If you get a shot of the Senate, because just let me know if you can find a live feed of the Senate, and then we'll see. Tell me when you get it. So you know Travis Kelce, right? Travis Kelce is Kansas City Chiefs. He was either running back, receiver, not exactly sure. So Travis Kelce, you know, Donald Trump is the only sitting president. I think it's on, C-SPAN 2. Okay. So Donald Trump is the only sitting president that to attend a Super Bowl. He is going on Sunday to my home state of Louisiana. To my home state of Louisiana. He's going to the Super Bowl. And I want you to hear, this is Travis Kelce talking about Donald Trump going to the Super Bowl. Here it is.
Your reaction was to finding out the president would be at the game on Sunday?
That's awesome. It's a great honor. I think, no matter who the president is, I know I'm excited because it's the biggest game of my life, and having the president there, it's the best country in the world. So it'd be pretty cool.
For now, while we have it, meaning the best country in the world, as long as we can keep it. So this is what I say when people are, yes, team, that's who it is. Monitor it, see it, because I'm hearing from my producer that it's good. But let me finish this. This is what Donald Trump tweeted about on Post. So this is what he posted on Truth Social about Taylor Swift, who is Travis Kelce's girlfriend. In all caps, I hate Taylor Swift. Donald J. Trump, I hate Taylor Swift. Play his soundbite again, please, Andy. I hate Taylor Swift.
Your reaction was to finding out the president would be
It's her boyfriend.
That's awesome. It's a great honor. I think, no matter who the president is, I know I'm excited because it's the biggest game of my life, and having the president there, it's the best country in the world. So it'd be pretty cool.
I hate Taylor Swift. That's his girlfriend. They believe that they're going to get married soon. I'm just saying. Someone said that shit about somebody. I'd be like, I wish he wouldn't come because, look, I respect the office, but I wish he wouldn't come because he's so divisive. So good luck to him. But I would prefer, considering the way that he talks about women and minorities and how he has spoken about the woman in my life who I love, not interested. But good luck to you, sir. Let's see what's happening on C-SPAN. I hear Elizabeth Warren is doing a barn burner. That's why I wanted you to see.
Now, MAGA stands for Make America Healthy Again. Kennedy's spin on Trump's MAGA catchphrase. Trump has now tapped Kennedy, one of the nation's most prominent anti-vaccine conspiracy theorists, to oversee the Health and Human Services Department. Trump has selected other big donors for roles in his incoming administration. Howard Lutnick, the Cantor Fitzgerald Investment Bank chief, whom Trump has tapped to head the Commerce Department, made a nearly $3 million in-kind donation of stock on October 21st to a pro-Trump super PAC, MAGA Inc., according to the organization's filings Thursday night. And that is on top of the $6 million that Lutnick previously donated to the super PAC over the course of the election cycle. Other Trump supporters who have landed spots in his administration also donated to MAGA Inc. They include Linda McMahon, the former wrestling company executive, tapped to serve as education secretary. She donated more than $20 million to the Trump-aligned super PAC this cycle. McMahon and Lutnick also serve as co-chairs of Trump's transition operation. Other Trump picks who have made seven-figure donations to MAGA Inc. include former Georgia Senator Kelly Loeffler, his choice to lead the Small Business Administration, Scott Bessent, whom Trump has selected as Treasury Secretary, and two of his choices for plum diplomatic posts in Europe, Arkansas investor Warren Stevens and Charles Kushner, the father-in-law of Trump's daughter, Ivanka, end quote. And look, don't get me wrong. If you made a fortune because you had a great idea and you built a terrific business, good for you. But I guarantee that any great fortune in America was built, at least in part, using workers that all of us help pay to educate, built at least in part on getting your goods to market on roads and bridges that all of us help to pay to build, built at least in part protected by police and firefighters that all of us help pay the salaries for. And now, instead of creating a system that will let the next guy or gal that comes along build something, these guys want to pull up the ladder. They poured money into the 2024 election, and now they expect a return on their investment at the expense of everyone else. The Trump strategy is to flood the zone, partly so we don't see each of the horrible orders and pay attention to them, but partly
She's saying it.
demoralize us. Trump and his Republican friends hope that we will be demoralized. They hope that we will give up, curl in a little ball, and let them do whatever they want to do. I get it. It is tough right now, but it is important that we get back up and fight. And that is exactly what I am doing. I am challenging Elon Musk on his Department of Government efficiency efforts to take away help for seniors who are living in nursing homes and little kids who are hoping for their daycare. I am asking questions of every nominee and pointing out to other senators and to the public where they pose a real danger to the American people. Look at the fight of the Secretary of Defense, Pete Hegseth. He is an incredibly accused rapist who has been falling down drunk at work events, and he's run not one but two nonprofits directly into the ground. Nonetheless, Republican senators stood beside him. He made it through his confirmation, but it wasn't a freebie. Some Republicans broke ranks, and everyone in the country who was paying attention got to see up close and personal just how far the Republicans were willing to go to cower in front of Donald Trump. Those are the fights we must keep fighting. We will not roll over and play dead. This is not business as usual. The number one thing people can do right now is speak out. Speak out on social media about every one of these things. Talk about the threats these people pose. Speak out about what Donald Trump is doing. In the middle of the night last Friday, Donald Trump issued a batch of executive orders turning back the clock decades on women's reproductive rights. If people talk about that, then that is how we will begin to rebuild a movement to push out the Trump vision of America, in which billionaires are on top and everyone else is left in the dirt, and women don't get to make their own health decisions. I've only got 24 hours a day, but I plan to spend as many of them as humanly possible fighting back against Trump, Musk, and the billionaires who have taken over our country to promote themselves at the expense of everyone else. It is up to us. I'm not lying down and playing dead, and I hope nobody else does either. Mr. President, I yield the floor.
Wow. There's Senator Elizabeth Warren. Thank you guys for finding that. My producer, I'll tell you, Monique, is out, and my co-host via my phone is giving me information. That was great. I hope she meant it, and I hope other Democrats fall in line as well, because not just social media you need to speak out on. You need to go and talk to your elected representatives. You need to go and talk to people like Elizabeth Warren. If you can call, if you can email, if you can write. If they're an elected official, their information is out there for you to do it. You need to get in their faces. That is a figure of speech. And challenge them to make a difference. To say, as I said this morning, I'm mad as hell and I'm not going to take it anymore. This is a mad as hell, I'm not going to take it anymore moment. There should be a groundswell of people taking it to the streets to protest this stuff. They should be filing lawsuits after lawsuit after lawsuit, just one after the other, to delay all of these things that they're trying to do that are unconstitutional, that are undemocratic, and that are unpatriotic. That's what they should be doing. You should be calling their offices. You should be calling Nancy Mace's office and leaving messages and saying, what I think you're doing is disgusting. You should be emailing. You should make it known. Keep calling them. It's not like the old days when it was long distance and you had to pay. You just dial on your cell phone all over the country. Costs the same. It's in your plan. Call him up, just like you do Jesus on the main line. Tell him what you want. That's for my old church folks here. So let me just tell you guys. Again, I'm so happy that you're here. I am going to keep telling you, because Elizabeth Warren was speaking about what you can do and naming the people that she deems to be ruining our country. Now I say to Elizabeth Warren and others, now do the media. Now do the media companies. Now do them. That's what they're missing. That's what they're missing. And that's why we need your support. Mike Drop says, Karen Ebner. Thank you, Karen. That's what they need to do. Do the media. That's why it's important to have independent media, and your support means everything to us, because that's where you get the information. That's where it's unfiltered. And you don't have to sit in front of a television all day or be beholden to your phone and every single alert that comes across. Become a member of the Don Lemon channel. Become a subscriber to the Don Lemon channel. Keep independent media going. 472,000. Am I going to get my goal by March 1st, my birthday? Charlotte Nesbitt, I'm glad you became a member. Percy Julian, I'm glad you became a member. Keisha L., welcome to the Lemon Nation. Kistro Monit, welcome to the Lemon Nation. MLV2499, welcome to the Lemon Nation. All of you, welcome. I'm so glad that you become a member. Let's see who else I can shout out. Delane Pep 22, welcome. So glad that you're here. Thank you. Roz Taylor, welcome. So glad that you're here. Jacqueline Young, welcome to you as well. LaQuisha Barnes, welcome to the Lemon Nation. And thank you guys so much for your very generous support. Guys, I told you I'm tired. I am running on fumes, but I'm not going to stop. I'm not going to stop, and you shouldn't either. And you should, look, you be tired, but your lawmakers shouldn't be. They should be standing up for you. Demand that they do. Get in their faces. I'm not condoning, I'm not promoting violence. I'm just saying, get in their faces. Hey, Congressman, Senator, I need to talk to you. Hey, well, he's out. I need to discuss. This is wrong. What are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing? Thank you. Grace, 123, thank you on TikTok. Senator Cassidy of Louisiana is up for election in November. And he voted for RFK, so he may lose. People are pissed about that he is a doctor and he voted for that. Get in their faces. Get in their faces. Call them up. Contact them. In the meantime, though, love your family. Candace Camden, thank you as well. Angela Nans Mack, thank you as well. I'm tired too. Get some rest on, says Bugnita. I thank you all. Nancy Jordan, thank you. I'm proud of you as well. Get some rest, please, Winky Campbell says. Thank you. Take good care of yourself, Devon Bledsoe says. Thank you. I got to travel again tomorrow. So I appreciate you too, Maureen. And thank you guys all for your generous support. Thank you, Maureen, for gifting 5 memberships. Because of Maureen, 5 people get to become members of the Lemon Nation. Thank you, Maureen. The best. All right, guys. I don't know. Oh, just real quick. What was Travis Kelce thinking? Let me get back to that. I got distracted by the Elizabeth Warren. What is Travis Kelce thinking? Maybe he's just trying to be diplomatic. I don't know. I don't think in these times, like, come on. What is he thinking? If somebody said that they hated your girlfriend or your family, what would you do? What would you do? And by the way, when you're talking about taking it to the streets, there are protests around the country. There are protests happening around the country. Let's show some of the protests. People are taking it to the street. Now, it's going to take a lot of folks to make a difference, but let's see who's taking it to the street.
This is North Carolina.
North Carolina. Big crowd. Needs to be more. We got any other places, or is that the only one we have today?
Texas.
Ah, good crowd. Needs to be bigger. All over. Those are the only 2 you have, Andy?
Yeah.
Thank you, sir. Let me just do this. Do you still have the stuff in the system? You still have the Travis Kelce, Taylor Swift stuff in the system? Do you still have
Yeah, I have that still.
And do you still have Nancy Mays?
The original one we played?
The original one we played.
Yeah, I have that.
Okay. So I don't know if you guys are going to the Super Bowl. I don't know who you support. But just one more time. Can we listen to Travis Kelce?
Your reaction was to finding out that the president would be at the game on Sunday?
That's awesome. It's a great honor. I think, no matter who the president is, I know I'm excited because it's the biggest game of my life, and having the president there, it's the best country in the world. So it'd be pretty cool.
Best country in the world. I get that. And maybe that was a bit of a pivot there, right? Because maybe that was his way of trying to pivot. But I hear he's a nice guy. I don't know him. Nothing against him. But this is what that president tweeted about your girlfriend. I hate Taylor Swift. That's what he tweeted, or that's what he posted on Truth Social. And why so mean? That's what our thumbnails, that's our subject today. Why so mean? Let me leave you with this. This is a beauty. Just how sweet she is. That is sarcasm. How disgusting she is. Ladies and gentlemen, Nancy Mays.
The gentlelady has used a phrase that is considered a slur in the LGBTQ community and the transgender community. And let me please finish without interruption. And
Tranny. I don't really care. You want penises in womenens' bathrooms, and I'm not going to have it.
Okay.
No, thank you.
Let
It's disgusting.
let the gentleman state his parliamentary inquiry.
to me, a slur is a slur. And here in the committee, a level of decorum requires us to try consciously to avoid slurs. You just heard the gentlelady actually actively, robustly repeat it. And I would just ask the chairman that she be counseled that we ought not to be engaged. We can have debate and policy discussion without offending human beings who are our fellow citizens. And so I would ask, as a parliamentary inquiry, whether the use of that phrase is not, in fact, a violation of the decorum rules.
Mr. Chairman, I'm not going to be counseled by a man over men and women's spaces or men who have mental health issues dressing as women. I'm not being counseled by some guy.
My inquiry is to the chairman,
Okay.
Mr. Chairman.
Order. The inquiry is about decorum. Decorum is at the discretion of the chair.
That's
I will be
mansplaining,
honest,
Mr. Chairman.
with the ranking member. I'm not up to date on my politically correct LGBTQ terminology. We'll look into that and get back with you on that. I don't know what's offensive.
You're lawmakers. Is it time to take it to the streets? Is it time to take it to the streets? That's what I'm going to ask you. I'll see you tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. sharp tomorrow, I promise. 10 a.m. early. Stay woke. Thanks everyone for watching. Your support means the world to us. So make sure you hit the like button and you subscribe to our channel to make sure that you never ever miss a video. We're live every day, 10 a.m. Eastern time. We drop even more content at 2 p.m. Eastern and 5 p.m. Eastern. And if you want more Don Lemon Show content, we'd love for you to become a member of the Lemon community, where you will receive access to special community posts. You'll get exclusive content and members-only live shows. So head over to our channel page or click the join button on this video. Again, thank you for watching. We appreciate